Welcome to UC Today. My name's David Dungay. Today we have a fantastic conversation. I have with me in the room ALE and Irwin Lazar. Welcome Laurent, Sam and Irwin. I hope you're all well.
Yeah.
Yes, very good.
Fantastic. Well, today we're going to be talking about challenges for the IT team and how we're going to make some of their lives a little bit easier with the technology that's coming just around the corner and is here today as well. So, before we get into that conversation, should we do a bit of a round of introductions? Should we start with Sam? Do you want to kick us off? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, good morning, David. So I'm Sam Tourbot, and I'm working for ALE. I'm in charge to develop the business for Rainbow, our collaboration platform. So I'm in charge of the business engine to enable our sales community and our partner community.
Fantastic. We'll go to Laurent next.
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Laurent Bouchoucha. I am Vice President for Business Development and Solution Architecture for the Network Division of ALE, so in charge of R&D for networking.
Fantastic. And Irwin, tell us a bit about yourself and Metrigy.
Sure. So hi, I'm Irwin Lazar, President and Principal Analyst at Metrigy, and I lead our coverage around unified communications and collaboration. As a research company, we study how end user organizations adopt and implement and hopefully succeed with various technologies that focus, as I mentioned, on the collaboration space. Our original background was in network engineering and network operations. So I'm happy to be here and looking forward to the discussion.
Fantastic. Well, my first question today is all about the network. I want to come to Laurent first. We talk about some of the big challenges going on. Laurent, tell me, what are the biggest network challenges for IT teams at the moment when it comes to digital transformation?
Yeah, thank you. So digital transformation is bringing lots of benefits like better customer experience or more business agility or more efficiency or more business resiliency. So it's all great, but there is a feeling that those benefits are really for the business teams and the operational teams. And regarding the information technology teams, it seems more like challenges to address. So for example, we know that approximately half of the new digital business processes require data from connected objects, the Internet of Things. So clearly IT needs to connect and to provide connectivity to those IoTs that are coming in thousands, tens of thousands, if not more. So there is a capacity and a bandwidth issue. Secondly, each new IoT is bringing a new additional cyber security challenge. You know that these objects are insecure by nature, and you cannot run any security software in most of these objects. How do you keep track of everything that is connected? You need to know what's going on your network. And also, the data from these objects that is extremely valuable, how do you make it available in real time to business stakeholders? How do you integrate that data with your corporate applications? So all these are challenges for the IT teams when it comes back to the digital transformation.
Yeah, there's so much data flying around between applications and people right now. I mean, Irwin, I want to come to you next, actually. From an IT management perspective, how much time are we losing through some of these integrations being inefficient or not happening from an efficiency point of view?
Yeah, I think when you think about the related to IoT, the biggest challenge as we mentioned was bringing in information across different devices, different sensors, being able to process that, being able to ensure that the underlying network connectivity is sufficient. Especially as we think about how the network patterns have changed over the last few years as a result of an increasing number of people working from home, as large increases in voice and video traffic that may be more latency sensitive. It requires people to take another look at how they've designed their networks almost pre-pandemic for how those networks are being used today. So, again, I think not having insight into network performance and network traffic patterns has been probably the biggest challenge, I would say, that relates to efficiency in terms of overall network operations.
So Sam, let's come to you next. Obviously over the last couple of years, we've seen the rise of UCaaS, but increasingly companies are also going down that CPaaS route. Do customers have to choose between UCaaS and CPaaS? Can they have both? And tell us a bit about ALE and how you're bridging that gap as well.
Yeah, so the first thing is that UCaaS and CPaaS are both to deliver a way for users on how they communicate efficiently internally or with their customer. What we see is that UCaaS is becoming a must in most of the organization, and we consider that 8 organizations out of 10 today are using a UCaaS platform. CPaaS is a different way where we customize how employees get access to this communication. Take the example of a sales guy or a customer care guy. They will rather prefer to get access to the communication from their usual environment, meaning CRM or ITSM. So to the first question, do the organization need to choose between one or the other? Actually not. I think one can complement the other. Again, most of the organizations, they have adopted UCaaS. However, some other will go through a CPaaS approach with an expectation to integrate closely both environments, CPaaS and UCaaS. Okay, so what we see is more on the mid and large that the CPaaS is now becoming a must as well. So we see this merge between both platforms. Now, where we at ALE are unique is we have a platform called Rainbow. So Rainbow is a collaboration platform through an hybrid model. But what we have decided from the beginning is to open the platform as well. So meaning that we have a different API and SDK to allow either our customer or our developer community to build their own solution. Okay. What we've done as well, and we will see that later with Laurent, is that we have embedded a workflow engine natively into Rainbow, which really allow us to really integrate ourselves in the application ecosystem of the customer.
Fantastic. I mean, so Laurent, maybe you could talk a bit about that some more. That integration in that workflow. Bringing the benefits of IT teams and operational teams, and how they're using what are those benefits for using those sort of common technology tools.
Yeah, it's really simply about speaking a common language. So we have data from connected objects, we have data from the network, and this data needs to be leveraged by people in order to get an outcome and to deliver a successful digital transformation. So that's the idea of connecting the CPaaS UCaaS platform and the network in order to bring that data to people to take faster decisions. So let me take a couple of examples here. So let's imagine the operational team needs to connect a new object. You will have an infrastructure that will automatically detect it, and it will be something new. So IT will need to know what to do with it. So it's an opportunity to trigger a conversation between an IT responsible and a business or operational user. Then the operational team can give their requirements in terms of quality of experience and how important this new object is for their role in the organization. It's also, by the way, an opportunity for the IT or the CIO or the Chief Information Security Officer to educate the operational and business users on cybersecurity, train those users to become the company cyber defenders. It's really important and mandatory nowadays for a maximum level of cyber protection. So it will trigger a conversation between different stakeholders. Secondly, what we can do as well is to offload a little bit from the IT in terms of workload. So there are a number of low-level tasks that are today done by super experts in IT, and it really doesn't make sense from an efficiency point of view. Let's take an example of video surveillance. So you have a security officer that is watching screens, and all of a sudden you have a security feed that doesn't work. And what would happen in the, let's say, the old world is that this security guy would call IT and say, okay, I have a problem on my feed, can you fix it? And we know that by experience, half of video surveillance problems are simply solved by rebooting a network equipment. Why wouldn't we trigger this network equipment reboot by the security officer himself? So we are not telling this guy what he's doing because it's too technical for him, but we ask him simply in the UCaaS interface, do you want to fix your video surveillance problem? The guy will click yes, the network will be rebooted and reconfigured, IT will be notified, the service, the video surveillance service will be back faster, IT will be notified, and then the IT time would have been saved. So faster time to resolve and less work for IT. So it's really about, again, speaking a common language for IT and OT, saving time for IT, and they need that. And it's also getting OT faster access to services and a more successful digital transformation.
Fantastic. Okay, I do want to pick up on that security element of that, Laurent. I'll ask Irwin in a moment on that actually as well. But I'll come to Sam next. We're talking about all this integration happening all the time. I think Laurent mentioned at the beginning there that UC platforms are becoming a bit of a vector of attack for data and things. But what does this mean? As our platforms become more integrated for the data and security, where are we, Sam?
Well, data and security are obviously becoming very critical. So what we see in the public sector, in the healthcare, or even into the education, where they do a lot of research, the data is very important. And I will just give you a concrete example. Just last weekend, an hospital in France has been cyber attacked, so all the patient data have been stolen. We as a collaboration service provider, we have the responsibility to help our customer to protect their data. So the security is about how the solution has been built natively. So what are the encryption mechanisms we are using? It is about the regulation compliance we have in the region. How do we need a specific regulation into the healthcare? Do we need a specific regulation to address a specific country? It's about the architecture. I mean, some customers, they are fine to use a public architecture. Some others are looking for a private architecture, meaning that they still want a cloud service, but from their own private data center, or they simply want an hybrid architecture. What is also important is the IaaS provider. I mean, and the origin of the IaaS provider. Some of our customers today are asking where your service is hosted so far. Okay, so this is important. Is this IaaS provider located in Europe? Is it in my own country in Asia, etc.? So what is really important at the end is to have a path with a end-to-end security compliance from the infrastructure to the service we deliver to the customer.
Fantastic. Irwin, tell me what you're seeing on the security side right now when it comes to UC platforms. What's your data telling you?
Yeah, so we've been studying how organizations are evolving their UC security strategy in this new world of digital transformation when you're integrating things like IoT that we've talked about. And as Sam mentioned, the need for an end-to-end solution. And we found IT teams are still kind of lagging. Only about 30% of companies that we studied in our last research study of about 400 end user organizations in North America and Western Europe predominantly, even had an overall UC security strategy. When you talk to IT leaders about their UC security, they're still largely focused on voice security, and they're looking at, how do I protect against toll fraud attacks and SIP registration attacks and so on. So I think it's imperative that the mindset of a person who's responsible for unified communications and collaboration in their organization begins to understand that it's not just about voice anymore, but it's about IoT integrations and all of these different workflow integrations and all of the different access points that are now coming into that UC environment. We talked about not only just IoT but API based integrations that also need to be secured. So I think it's it's critical that people take a broader view of what communication security means, understanding what those threats are. We just heard that example of a hospital that had an attack, and be proactive. You don't want to start to address security concerns after the attack happens. You want to prevent beforehand.
Fantastic. Well, look, we're coming towards the end of today's session. I want to leave our viewers with some top tips for making their IT managers' lives a bit easier. Well, let's do from the ALE side, and we'll come to Irwin. Laurent, do you want to give us your top tips from today's discussion?
As it was mentioned, I think it's important to leverage modern tools, and UC has clearly modernized big time. We can capture IoT data and network data in the CPaaS platform, get it accessible to users in real time. Thanks to the no-code workflow engine, we can define exactly what data to be presented to who, trigger automatically video conversations in order to react super fast and to solve a burning issue as fast as possible. Thanks to the application programming interfaces integration, we can connect to other IT platforms or to other artificial intelligence, again, in order to go digital transformation and fast reaction. So I think it's really important to leverage those modern UCaaS, CPaaS platforms. Secondly, this automation that is brought is accelerating a cybersecurity response. So things are getting automatic in the network and notified to the IT stakeholders on the UC platform, so they know exactly what's going on, what was the attack, what was the response, what was the automatic reconfiguration of the network to mitigate and to solve the problem. We have also some creativity that can be used in order to get enterprise users, operational users, business users to solve themselves some low-level IT problems. Maybe you can save time for IT if you get those very simple problems to be solved by your users, and that's possible, as we have talked about on the video surveillance example. And I think at the end of the day, it's really for IT to talk to their users, showing the business benefits of such integrations, and not only the constraints linked to cybersecurity, for example. So it's a fantastic opportunity, I think, for IT also to train the users to these new automated processes and to become the cyber defenders of their companies. So IT being really a strong enabler of the digital transformation in general.
Fantastic. Irwin, give us your top tips to give our viewers so they can take those away with them.
Yeah, I think there are three. The first is the role or the function of a unified communication platform is really starting to change. It's not just something we use to make phone calls and send messages, but it's now one that supports business process integrations and that allows integration with different sources of data that can trigger communications events. So I think that's the first one. The second is, as we talked about in the beginning of the discussion, making sure that your network is ready to support those changing traffic patterns and changing traffic flows. And I think the third is as I mentioned earlier, is security, is thinking about that you have to implement these new connection points, these new interfaces in a manner that protects you from unauthorized access, denial of service attacks, any other kind of security attack that will emerge that we might not be thinking about now. So I think it requires a proactive strategy, and it requires that the UC team, or the team responsible for the communication platform, be working very closely with teams that are responsible for security, for compliance, for governance, for localization requirements, and so on. So I think those are my three key takeaways.
Brilliant, thank you. Well, unfortunately, that's all we've got time for, but thank you to Laurent, Sam and Irwin for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you
Bye.
for watching. You've been watching me, David Dungay, on UC Today. If you like today's conversation, please give us a like and a share on social media. That's it from me. See you next time.